Hello, everyone, and welcome to a little bit of a different episode, session, whatever you want to call it for today. In place of a typical Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log mission, I am a little bit short on time this week, shorter than I'd like to be for a full session, so I'm going to do something a little bit different. I believe I alluded in the last episode that I was going to be doing something different with this next mission in general. And what that is, I'm not going to be using the book to generate the mission itself. We have an interesting story that happened, I believe, Mission 2 with Captain Bronson, called Bronson's Bluff. And if you remember what happened in that mission, you will know where I'm going, or at least in what direction I'm heading for the next mission. In case you didn't watch that mission, I highly recommend it. It was one of the most fun missions I've done so far. But the long story short, we had an NPC, adversary NPC, who ended up pulling the wool over Captain Bronson's eyes, and his name was Thalen Kyste. He was an Andorian extremist. Believes that the Andorians made a mistake in suing for peace or agreeing to peace with the Vulcans and the humans and the Tellarites. Believes it's a mistake that's only going to get them burned in the future. Technically, he's not wrong, as the Romulans would have left them alone if they hadn't joined the Coalition, but that's beside the point. He believes specifically that it's going to be the Vulcans that cause them problems in the future. So, I'd like to do a mission, our next mission, this would actually be the 10th, on a story focused on Thalen Kyste. It's been about 4 or so missions, and if we're sticking to kind of the 8 to 12 range, maybe the 10 episode range per season, this would be like our mid-season finale. We'd take a nice break over December and come back in January for the second half of the season. So that's the idea of what we're doing today, and I'm going to walk through a few details about Thalen Kyste, and then we'll go ahead and come up with the mission details from scratch. All right, so now that we've got everything set up, let's go ahead and start going through this. Now, the basic idea, the only idea I have in my head so far is that because we're playing in 2155, and we have an Andorian who is strongly anti-Vulcan, that his goal would be to break up the Coalition. Now, in 2155, what would be a strong way to do that? We've just had all of this chaos because of the Romulans and their holo ship and the supposed, what was made to look like all of these ships from various species attacking each other. I think that Thalen Kyste would go to the Romulans and would try to get them on his side to drive a spike between the members of the Coalition. Now, this is really an interesting idea. For one thing, it makes Thalen Kyste a much bigger threat to the crew of the Challenger. For another, in canon, we don't know how the Romulan War got started. This, for our mission canon, sounds like a really interesting way, and it ties our captain and his crew directly into it. So, whatever happens, let's have it be because of the Romulans. So let's just say it's a mission type patrol, and I am going to be going based off the book. Highly recommend you get a copy of this if you haven't already. I have in the description to each episode a link that'll take you to the Modifius website. Take a look. Fantastic book. Highly recommended. So, I think we're going to start out with a patrol type mission. Something is obviously going to happen to them while they're on patrol. And it's going to be Romulan based. Let's see if there are any good recommendations. Install a new sensor array could be good. Investigate enemy fleet movements could be good. I'm thinking we either are having them do like installing a new sensor array near the Romulan border, or kind of where that Romulan space is. So let's do that. So their primary mission is to install this new sensor array Maybe they're keeping their eye on the Romulans, just seeing if there's any sign of any trouble along the border. So I'm just going to write a few notes here, and then we'll head into our incident and theme. All right, I've come up with a couple of different questions. For starters, we should try and figure out what species it belongs to. For that, we're going to go ahead and pull up a map, and let me grab that real quick, and I'll be right back once again. All right, now in taking a look at our quadrant map here, this is the map, by the way, from the original core rules for Star Trek Adventures. I'm sure there are other versions of this available online. I could have pulled out my my Star Charts book as well, but we've got Earth, and then Andoria and Vulcan. Now, I suspect that the Vulcans they're not particularly expansionist at this time. Pajem is about as far away as they've gone, it seems. They don't believe much in exploration beyond their own systems. So I don't think that they would extend much in the direction of the Romulan Empire. So I'm going to say, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to say it's an Andorian, probably an Andorian satellite that they're going to repair or upgrade. So let's say it's Andorian. Put that in bold. And let's go ahead and roll on the probability matrix. Give it a 50-50 shot that someone's there. 1 to 10. They do have a member of the original engineering team. 11 to 20, they don't. They do not. So it's just them trying to figure out how these Andorian systems work. I'm sure they've been given schematics and advice and all of that. So now that we've got that, let's take a look at the incident. Now, incident in Captain's Log, of course. These are things that kind of get everything set on the right journey. So what happens that makes the adventure go? What is the driving force? What is the inciting incident? Now, in this case, as they are out on patrol trying to fix this satellite, I think it would make sense for... we've got some kind of situation here. Maybe there's a Romulan vessel that drops out of warp right on top of them and tries to destroy the satellite. Maybe it's nothing quite that subtle, or excuse me, nothing as overt as that. Maybe it's more subtle. So what if we have an Andorian ship drop out of warp, and they could be pulling another ploy. Maybe instead of something as complicated as a hologram ship, specifically a telepresence holo ship, maybe they have stolen a Vulcan shuttle and are using it to attack an Andorian nearby. That sounds interesting. Why don't we do that? Distress signal from Andorian ship under attack from Vulcans. Alrighty, that sounds pretty good to me. Couple of questions I immediately think of. Let's see. Are the crew of the Vulcan ship Andorian or Vulcan or Romulan? And in this case, I think that they're more likely to be Andorian, but the ship couldn't have been stolen by Andorians. I think that the Romulans supplied the ship to Kyste and his crew. So let's do that, but supplied by the Romulans. That sounds pretty good. I don't know that we have any other questions we need answered there. And of course, we want to leave things open-ended enough that as we're playing through, if something happens, we can ignore what we've just done. So let's get into the theme. Obviously, the theme in this case is much more complicated. I think I don't really know that we need a theme for this adventure. Um, it's kind of... Yeah, I really don't think we need a theme for this adventure. So I'm going to just remove that. I know what we're going for, so we can kind of play off of that. This is not going to be... I don't think it could end up inciting the Romulan War. I don't think so. But that's one of the things I need to keep in mind. If things are bad enough as the episode goes on, if we start racking up a lot of different failures, maybe this is the incident that kind of sparks the Romulan War. At least as far as the Vulcans and Andorians are concerned. I don't think it's going to be, but it could be, and I want to keep that in mind. Now, let's go to the complication table. I think they do need a complication here. This is a fantastic kind of backdrop we're giving ourselves for how this mission's going to go. And being that notion of a mid-season finale, we want to have it be stressful, both for the characters involved and the viewers at home. So I don't know that I have a great thing in mind. I think I'm just going to roll a d20 on the table and see what we get. That is cocked. Landed on my dice, or excuse me, on my mouse. 16. Diplomatic incident. That's fantastic. That fits perfectly. We don't need any other details than that. Diplomatic incident. Diplomatic incident. And in this case, that means due to the technicalities of galactic law or a tense political situation, the crew must proceed carefully or the situation will get worse. Honestly, that sounds fantastic. The real question is, what are the galactic law issues? Maybe, here's our answer. Quick thinking here. What technicalities? Actually, what civilization is involved? And you might be thinking, oh, it's got to be the Andorians or the Vulcans. But what do we say about the notion that they're actually in Romulan space? And the Romulans are who we have to be tiptoeing around. It's not a bad idea. It makes things a little more tense. Like, oh, we know that system has at one time been controlled by the Romulans, that very mysterious species who we know almost nothing about. We have to be careful. I think that's a great idea. All right. Anything else we need to know? Are the Romulans nearby? Probably. Once again, I say probably, and let's go ahead and roll for that. Let's see. Quick reference table. Here we go. I am giving it a probable, which means a 1 to a 15. They are nearby. 13. Yes. The Romulans are nearby. They can cause problems down the line. Now, let's go ahead and roll up an encounter, or I don't even know that we need to roll it. I think we know what it's going to be. They are in deep space. I don't even think we necessarily need to write something down here. We know how we're going to start. The Challenger is going to be in deep space, relatively close to Romulan territory, no more than, say, a light year away. That gives us the opportunity to get there in time. I believe I can pull up real quick my my calculator. Yeah, let's do this. Pull up my calculator. Let's find a travel time. If they're 1 light year away, traveling warp factor 5, maximum warp. That's still a long time. So that's one of the difficult things in this era. Maximum warp gets a little bit tricky. So let's try that again. Let's see if they push their engines. Travel time, distance in light years, 1 light year. Maybe they can get it up to 5, 6. Cuts off 12. Yeah, 12 hours. 12 and a half hours. That's pretty good. But they're still a long ways away. And You know, maybe this system, maybe the Andorian satellite is just on the edge of a Romulan system, so they're not even a light year away. That would put them on their toes right early. So yeah, I think that's fine. We can pull up our star chart again. Let's take a look. Just see if we can spot Romulus here real quick. This is a PDF, so it takes a minute to load with such a high detail map. I don't even know where Romulus is. Oh, it's all the way up there. So we want to go... Where are the Tellarites? I'm going to look up the Tellar Prime, because this is a... Oh, Tellar's over there. Okay. So that's interesting. The planet closest to, among the coalition members, the planet closest to the Romulan territory is Earth. That explains a lot. But if we have... I think we want to deal with the Andorians. I say we have them be up here somewhere. You know, maybe the Romulans hold claim to the Calder system. Let's call it the Calder system. So let's just take that note. Calder system, edge of Romulan held space. And let's see. Let's say they're about the distress call comes from within the Calder system. Okay. I believe that this is a... I think this is a very reasonable mission briefing. Yeah, we know who the bad guys are. We know what their goal is. We know what the good guys are doing when things start to go crazy. We know where they're doing it. I will look up the Calder system later and make sure there's no canon I have to be careful of. And if there's not, I'll, make up some stats about it. We know the Romulans are somewhat nearby. They're probably lying in wait just in case something happens so they can capitalize on it. And yeah, I think that that's a pretty solid foundation. I don't think I'll have much difficulty playing to this. And hopefully it will go well. If you enjoyed this kind of thing, I intend to do some more custom missions further down the line, especially as we get towards the Romulan War. I have a feeling instead of doing, say, 5 random and 1 custom, as we get into the Romulan War, it'll probably be more 5 custom, 1 random. I want to tell a very specific sort of story, get into a bit of a darker arc, and see what sort of terrible situations I can put the crew of the Challenger up against. So once again, if you enjoyed this, I hope you'll join me next week as we see how this mission turns out. I can tell you I am very curious myself. I have absolutely no idea how this will go. Until then, live long and prosper.